Thanks, y'all. I'm Holly Bradley. I'm originally from St. Albans, West Virginia, what is called Chemical Valley. My dad worked in the chemical plant for 40 years until he retired with disability from acute exposure. And I want to come in today. It really means a lot. And I guess, I lead with that because it's not us versus them, right? It's not us versus the people who have to feed their families by working in these dangerous jobs. I know that we can all find common ground. We all just want the best for our families. And so do I. I have 2 young sons. And I don't want them to have to leave West Virginia. I'm a 9th generation West Virginian, and my sons are 10th generation West Virginian. And I want them in a healthy, safe, and opportunity abundant place, what they love here. And Senator Manchin is making that impossible. I remember being in college and going to WVU and thinking that it was my exit strategy. I was going to get out of West Virginia. And then I left for like 9 months, and I was like, oh my God, the people are what makes West Virginia so beautiful. And we have to help each other. We have to get Senator Manchin out of there. Thanks, y'all.
Give it up for Holly!
Next up to the mic, we have Michael Wickett, who is a former coal miner.
I'd like to start to say that I worked at deep mines and at strip mines a big portion of my working life. I'm here to try to persuade Mr. Manchin to change his ways. Has brought the European countries together more than anybody in the last 30 years has done. And he can do the same thing if Manchin would help him. This is a terrible war in Russia. And we need to fix it.
Dave's here on his shotgun.
One thing we need to fix more than anything else is the climate crisis. Joe Manchin should be working with our president to fix this. And he had the opportunity on the big steel better background. He had the opportunity to do that. No. And this would last 10 years. We need a long approach to this, not a short-term approach. 10 years is nothing compared to what we got to work on. We're going to have to work 10, 20, 30 years on this climate. And this is the most important thing that the earth, we've never faced anything like this. Every human being on the earth is going to suffer over this. And we already are. Look. You know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But I just want Manchin to understand.
Hey, Liz.
That, I mean, what's he thinking about? Does he think he's going to renovate a coal mine or 2? Let his great-grandchildren live in it? They'll come and let them eat mushrooms. Hey, they'll come and take that away from them. Because all the migration from this is and I couldn't get my friend, he was too busy. He worked. Thank you for coming. Thank everybody for being here. speaker. Here's the speaker. Here's the man.
Make some noise, dog!
My brothers and sisters, you know they say in Africa when it rains it's a baptism.
Amen.
So Reverend Liz and I are here today. Reverend Liz, the Poor People's Campaign, we just left Martinsburg on a 5-day march across West Virginia. People are coming together and saying it's time for a change in West Virginia. And you know, this senator named Manchin up here took an oath of office and he swore that he would defend the Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic. And he asked that God would help him at the end of that. I've been thinking a lot about that. I've been thinking about how he took an oath, but he has violated that oath. That Constitution says you're supposed to establish justice. That Constitution says you're supposed to promote the general welfare of all people. But instead of establishing justice, he has established injustice at every turn. When it comes to voting rights, instead of expanding voting rights, he has blocked voting rights. When it comes to health care, instead of expanding health care, he has blocked health care. Even though there are 350-some thousand people in this state that make less than a living wage. Nearly 50% of this state makes less than a living wage. Instead of passing living wages, he has blocked living wages. Instead of passing legislation and standing with those things that would help the climate and protect our water, he has blocked those things. So at every turn, he has either lied or didn't know what he was saying. But more importantly, I think he has just lied and he's decided that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce agenda is better than the agenda for the people of West Virginia and the people of the United States. On every turn, he has chosen the money and chosen greed and chosen a kind of political meanness. And these things are not benign. When you block health care, people die.
Talk about it.
Before COVID ever hit, 700 people died a day from poverty. When you mess up the climate, people die. But we're here in this cold because we want everybody to live. We believe everybody has a right to live. Everybody has a right to exist. And so folk today are blocking what this is happening here because they are tired of the blocking that he's done. But let me tell you something, what he also done. He does this, you know, he doesn't want the world to see this. Well, we're sorry, Mr. Manchin, the world gonna see it. And the whole interlocking injustices that threaten this democracy. Racism, especially when it comes to systemic voter suppression and mistreatment of our immigrants and mistreatment of indigenous people. Secondly, poverty, denial of living wage. Rather than save the world. And the only way you can take them down is through an intersectional movement where we all come together. You see, the same people that hurt the environment block health care. And the same people that block health care block living wages. And the same politicians that block living wages, they tend to block voting rights. If they are mean enough to be together, we ought to be smart enough to come together. And we've been quiet far too long. Look at your neighbor, COVID. Somebody's been hurting our brothers and sisters. Somebody's been stealing our health care. Somebody's been blocking our voting rights. Somebody's been poisoning our water. And in this state, it's your mansion. And it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. It's time to come together. It's time to stand together. It's time to fight for this democracy. It's time. Everybody in. Nobody out. Everybody has a right to live together. Together, we have power. Together, we'll turn around. Either we'll repent for one another. Somebody been hurting us far too long. We want to also ask you all, on June 18th, in Washington, D.C., we're calling for a mass poor people's low-wage workers assembly and moral march on Washington and to the polls.
Yes, sir.
We are going to put a face on the pain. A face on the pain. 700,000 people in West Virginia alone are poor and low wealth. 140 million in this country, and it does not have to be like this. What they want is us to fight in silos. They want the environmentalists over here, voting rights over here, living wage over here, labor over here. That day is over. That day is over. That day is over. We have decided to come together. And the more we come together, the greater we win. I don't know if you all know it, I'll close here, that poor people make up 33% of the electorate now. And in Battleground, the only thing we have to do is bring all of our forces together.
Yes, yes.
Stop listening to the political pundits.
Yes, yes.
And start listening to the power of the people. The power of the people. The very stones that have been rejected have now become powerful. When it rains in Africa, it's a sign that God is baptizing what you're doing.
That's right.
So we accept all of this with as a baptism that God is pleased. Clean water coming down from God rather than the dirty stuff coming out of that plant. God bless you all. Thank you all.
You say power, people, power, people, power. I say people, you say power, people, power, people, power. No justice. No.
We are ready. Yes, we are. Stand for justice. Say it, y'all.
Stand for justice.
Say it, y'all.
Stand for justice.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Say it again. Say it again.
Stand for justice.
Oh, yeah.
We are coming.
Yeah.
We are coming.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Y'all ready for a new want, you say justice. You say justice. Who you want? Justice. You want justice. When I say you want, you say healthcare. You want healthcare. You want healthcare. When I say you want, you say living wages. You want living wages. You want living wages. When I say you want, you say